Hi everyone, it's Troy from Complete Health Geelong here. I thought I would show you what's going on with your emotions if you've been addicted to food, people, alcohol, drugs, relationships. You've been a codependent, you've been a people pleaser. You don't like boredom. And I thought I'd give you a rough guide to show you what's going on with that, and I'd show you something so that you can get a good visualization of what's happening. So that way, when it is happening, you can go, I remember that graph. And it's also really good for being able to stop yourself from being destructive. Because if you're coming out of codependency, you wouldn't have realised it then, but you're probably realising it now, that just like a borderline or a narcissist, you tend to have destructive patterns of behaviour, or maladaptive patterns of behaviour as well. And you tend to self-sabotage as well. I want to start off by saying the word bored. You probably said it a lot when you were a kid, I'm bored. You always had to be chasing a high. And that's why we end up following the drugs or the food or anything really. Really, bored isn't a word. It is a way of keeping busy to distract ourselves from dealing with our own shit. People who can't sit with themselves and be comfortable and happy and content with themselves tend to say I'm bored a lot. Because if you're happy with yourself, you can just sit back and chill and you can be happy. You're not bored. You can, keep yourself occupied. You don't need to be going out and doing these destructive things to keep busy. So I'm going to show you on my board here what's going on. So for normal people, they tend to go through life like this, with little ups and downs. Mainly this is being content. And this is something which us codependents or people from complex trauma, people from abusive relationships, people with addictions, we don't like. We grew up in life like this. Highs, lows, highs, lows, highs, lows. Always chasing that high. The thing with drug addiction, and any addiction, you're not actually getting higher than this. It's releasing all the love hormones and all that sort of stuff that's giving you connection. It's giving you that feeling of belonging. And that's why you're addicted to relationships and stuff like that as well. And it's either or either. A lot of people are only addicted to drugs, usually they're addicted to relationships and that as well. It's all about codependency and complex trauma. So what happens is when you come down here, you get into a relationship, you do drugs, and that's actually just to get you back here to be the same level of where you are. Some people like to call that manic, that type of thing. The problem is what comes up must come down in equal measure. So then you come down again. And then if you start working on yourself and, you start getting to a point where your highs aren't as high, your lows aren't as low, you start to get to this normal line of contentment. So your highs start lasting a little bit longer. Your lows start lasting a little bit longer. And this is when you're going to be saying, I'm bored. You're not bored here. Here, you're chasing the highs and the lows all the time. I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored. I know what I'll do. I'm going to find something in my life to make me crash, because life's going pretty good. But to people like us that are used to this, it feels uncomfortable. It feels really, really uncomfortable. So whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously, some people do, some people don't. You get to a point where now, like me, if I'm coasting now and I'm here flatlining for a very long time, oh no, I've got little tells that I know that I'm starting to look for that destructiveness, and I can pull myself up. But it takes a lot of work to get to that point. Because what's going to happen is you're going to be here coasting and you're going to be like, oh, I'm bored. You know what? I think I can do a line. You know what? I think I can just drink for that one time. I think I will message that person one time. I think I'm ready for the next step. So then what happens? You do it, and then you end up way down here. Really bad again, but this is the catch. Everyone thinks it's the high you're chasing, but in the first instance, it's the low, because you're after that chaos. Because then what happens is you can all of a sudden start self-improving again. You can start doing this. You can start getting that rush of, I'm improving. I'm getting good again. You know, I'm kicking goals. I'm doing all these accomplishments. I'm getting somewhere. Boom. You're up here again. So then what comes up equally must come down equally, until you start pulling yourself up again. Now you start doing this again. The thing is, though, it has to be done consciously. Only happens with conscious effort. So by putting in things like yoga, martial arts, and not just any martial art either. I mean, they all help, but to get the best effect, there has to be something that's regulating your emotions. So something similar to like karate, anything like that has some sort of element of spirituality, something that has some sort of meditation, some sort of thing where you're looking internally into yourself. Because the problem with most of us codependents and people from complex trauma, stuff like that, is we're always externally focused, and this is all because of survival mechanisms, which I'll talk about in other videos, like the fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses, and all that sort of stuff from childhood. So it's always good to do stuff that makes you reflect on yourself. Anything that makes you look internally is a good thing. So for me, kickboxing, gym, walking, swimming, and these things is my time. These regulate me. I know that when I'm getting a little bit, mischievous, I suppose, or getting a little bit destructive, I know that there's something in my life I'm not aiming at as well. So if you remember that stress curve graph I drew in another video, often if I'm getting flatlined, it's because I'm sitting here. And the longer you flatline, the more you go into depression. So that's the more you come down here. That can also happen if you just sit in comfort, just in coast, just in contentment. Like I said, that's very hard for people like us to do. We just don't like being there. It's uncomfortable. So part of getting comfortable is sitting in it. So it's always a good idea to go, why is my foot tapping? Why are my fingers twiddling? Why, when I'm laying in bed, is my foot rocking from side to side? Why is my tongue to the roof of my mouth right now? Is yours? Why is my jaw clenched? Get curious as to why these things are happening. So if you feel yourself bored, because we know that's not a real thing, that's just because we're uncomfortable, step out of that comfort zone. Do something new. That's your new high. Don't let yourself drop down into here. Keep this graph in mind all the time. You can be here for a little while, but don't stay there too long, or that, too strong for too long will come in. Come back here. Sit in the comfort zone for a day or two. Then you feel you've ticked back one. All right, what am I not doing that I should be doing? This also stops procrastination, and it helps you really drive and get better. But knowing where you are on this is very important. It takes a lot of reflection. So I'm coming back here. Cool, I can be comfortable here for a couple of days. I'm starting to feel a bit bored. I'm starting to feel a bit lost. I'm starting to lose some direction. What am I not focusing on? Oh no, I haven't done that schoolwork. I know I've got to go work out and I've got to PB something. I know this is happening. Now, it's not always good to be goal-driven and purpose-driven and something like that. It can be anything. Maybe taking a day of complete rest. That's just as important as anything. A lot of us think that we just have to be striving for something all the time. We always have to be doing something. If you're purposely resting, well, then you're doing something. You're doing resting. So come back to here. And the thing is, every time you come back here, you're going to make yourself stronger. As soon as so this is your comfort zone, remember? Every time you step out of your comfort zone and you do something, you will accomplish something which will make you more confident. You may fail, but we don't fail at complete health. We learn from mistakes. So you're either going to learn, which gives you growth, which teaches you something, which will make you stronger to come here next time and do it a different way and grow. So now all of a sudden, instead of needing destructive coping mechanisms, now you've got healthy ones. So we just got to keep putting in healthy things that make you feel good, that replace them highs, that get you to be comfortable and to be able to sit with yourself longer and longer each time, and getting happy with contentment. So this contentment line is what we're aiming for. We're not up for these highs and lows. Now, I remember a time in my previous relationship, we actually had the talk. We were watching a documentary, and the girl in it was saying she wasn't happy without the highs and lows, and we actually had the exact same conversation. And that's because that's how you've been brought up. You've been brought up with gaslighting. You've been brought up by guilt and shame. You've been brought up by chasing that next high, that next accomplishment to make people happy, to drive, to make you feel good. But that's not the way life's meant to be. Life's meant to be content. It's about being comfortable sitting with yourself. They will not complete you. So being able to regulate your own emotions, to be aware of where your emotions are, to be aware where you are sitting right now on the stress curve, to be aware of where you're going in life and how to get there, is all extremely important to get over narcissistic abuse, to get over all your childhood trauma, to build confidence, to build self-worth, and just regulating yourself is the key. I thought I would never be able to regulate myself, and now I'm pretty flat and I'm content. I'm very content in life. And I'm doing things that I thought that I would never do. And it was all from these little baby steps. One little step at a time, out of depression, into the comfort zone, out of the comfort zone, achieving goals, back to the comfort zone, achieving goals, back to the comfort zone. And it keeps me flat. Some days I'll plan to do nothing and I'll just sit with myself. What am I feeling today? Get curious about yourself. Why am I feeling like this? What is this feeling that I'm feeling? And eventually, when you're not hitting all these lows, it's not bad just staying content. It's actually pretty good. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable, but the longer you sit in uncomfortable, the more comfortable that gets. That's one of the good things about being human. We adapt. And adapting to this is extremely important. So if you're up and down right now, try and sit with yourself for a little bit. Be compassionate to yourself. This is learning to love yourself. Put in some healthy mechanisms. Put in some healthy tools. There's 100 things on YouTube to learn how to do self-guided meditation and stuff like that. Myself, I do breathing exercises when I need to. If you're anything like me, you would have gone to bed and taken 2 hours to sleep every night. I'm asleep within 10 minutes these days. And that's with breathing exercises. Can you imagine the Incredible Hulk trying to go to sleep as the Incredible Hulk while his emotions are there? He's angry. He just wants to smash something. He's not going to sleep. But if he calmed down to Bruce Banner mode, starts regulating his emotions, he'll be able to sleep. So do you want to stay in Bruce Banner mode, in the Hulk mode, or do you want to go to Bruce Banner mode? Life's a lot better as Bruce Banner. You get a lot more done. And you regulate yourself better. You don't let the opinions of other people trigger you. You don't let the external environment worry you. You just worry about yourself, and not in a narcissistic way. But you learn to take care of yourself. Not just other people, like you probably have been your whole life. It's okay to take care of yourself. Why is it important to take care of yourself? Because when an airplane's crashing, you put the oxygen mask on first. Because if you try and put the oxygen mask on the kids first and you pass out halfway through, you're no good to anyone. Put your oxygen mask on first, and then you'll be able to give that oxygen mask to everyone else. Aim for Bruce Banner, not the Hulk. Hi everyone, it's Troy from Complete Health. Now you probably noticed that halfway through, a bell went off. That's my mindfulness app. So you can download that off just off Google. Just type in Mindfulness Bell. There's a lot of them. It's one of my healthy coping mechanisms that I used when I started healing, and I still use it today, and my clients know it too. So I just put it on my phone and I set it to go off whenever it feels like. So no matter what I'm doing, when I'm doing something, the bell will go off and I stop and I take 5 deep breaths. And that regulates my emotions. I'll go in other videos, I'll explain how all that works. But it just centers me, it grounds me. If I'm still feeling a bit agitated or anything after I've done that, I'll name 5 things in the room and their colour with no judgment, and I'll do the breathing again. And that brings me back down to Bruce Banner mode. So it's called the Mindfulness app. I highly recommend it, especially at the start when you are going extreme highs, extreme lows. It's absolutely brilliant. And I hope that helps.